Nevada. So sure, I'd love to meet him. And I met him, and I liked him, and he was a very, very smart man. And we used to talk and share ideas and thoughts. And he's the one who told me 11 months before 9/11 ever happened that there was going to be an event. Never told me what the event was going to be, but there was going to be an event. And out of that event, we were going to invade Afghanistan to run pipelines from the Caspian Sea.
What do you know?
We were going to invade Iraq, you know, to take over the oil fields, establish a base in the Middle East, and make it all part of the New World Order. And we'd go after Chavez in Venezuela.
There we go.
And,
Going after
sure
Chavez in Venezuela.
Okay.
Let me play that one part one more time. I want to make sure you guys
can
hear.
introduce this gentleman, because in the very beginning of a video they introduce him, who he actually is.
Aaron Russo.
Yeah, but they're saying he's a filmmaker.
Okay, you're right. Let me go up there, and I'll come back to the 248.
They're saying he's a filmmaker.
Okay.
He's a filmmaker.
Okay, you're right. Let me go up there, and I'll come back to the 248-minute mark. Aaron Russo is the producer of the movies Trading Places and America, Freedom to Fascism. Russo is the producer of the movies Trading Places and America, Freedom to Fascism. All right. Also, he is. Here we go. It's going to give another credit to him as well.
About 3 times.
Okay, in this interview, Aaron reveals some startling information about the 9/11, the CFR, the global elite, and the New World Order. Venezuela, because people have no idea. These are pre-planned.
It's all pre-planned. It's all pre-planned.
To run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We were going to invade Iraq, you know, to take over the oil fields, establish a base in the Middle East, and make it all part of the New World Order. And we'd go after Chavez in Venezuela. And
so
sure enough,
you can stop
later
because
than
10 minutes long, you don't have
and I
time.
remember he was telling me how.
So this was back on January 31st.
Si los Estados Unidos pretenden intervenirnos, tendrán un Vietnam peor que el que se han podido imaginar, ¿no?
Nicolas Maduro has warned Americans to expect a second Vietnam War if Donald Trump intervenes in Venezuela's constitutional crisis. It's a nightmare that no US administration would want to repeat. But could it really happen? Could it really happen? John Bolton, Mr. Trump's national security advisor, was recently pictured carrying a note reading 5,000 troops to Colombia. He may be trolling. There's no confirmation that such deployment has been planned. He may be trolling. There's no confirmation that such deployment has been planned.
We're already talking to the National Assembly.
With Mr. Maduro enjoying public backing from US adversaries like Russia, China, and Iran.
All right, so look at Venezuela now, has the backing of Russia, China, and Iran. And then recently, there's a few more that have been testing missiles and getting involved, because there's 10 kings.
Mr. Trump's hawkish White House might decide there is sufficient threat.
Is that a black horse? Hold up. Is that a black horse? You're trying to skate that one on by, huh, Trump? So there's the black horse, there's a white horse, there's a pale horse, there's a red horse. So apparently Trump is playing out the black horse. I don't know, I'll have to go read it and see what it says.
Decide there is sufficient threat to US interests to warrant intervention.
All options are on the table.
If America did intervene, the loyalty of the Venezuelan military would be key. Most likely the army, like the country, is divided. So, like in Vietnam, the US could find itself backing one side in an intractable civil war. In Vietnam, the US was fighting a proxy war against the Soviet Union and China, who provided massive logistical and military support to North Vietnam. Could Mr. Maduro enjoy similar support?
Maduro.
China has publicly backed.
Oh, wait a minute. Nicolas Maduro. Is that like Nicholas? You know, Saint Nick? Maduro? I mean, Is that who he's playing out here? Nicolas Maduro. All right, so now we have the North talk and the South talk. So they can try to play this out too. In many scenarios, they'll try to play it out. So you have the king of the South and then the king of the North. And then what you do is you just read the king of the South, the king of the North. Imagine it's these two characters here. And that talks about he and him, and you got to see what the Bible's talking about when it comes to that also. So this here just looks like a man's face. There's the eye and the nose. Looks like a man's head. And that looks like an eagle. The wings up there, beheading, you know, like ripping someone's head off. But anyway, I just find it ironic that they're talking about now the North leader and the South leader.
But Beijing doesn't seem to have much appetite for foreign military adventures.
必须也只能由委内瑞拉人民自己来选择和决定。
Vladimir Putin's Russia, on the other hand, has a proven record of using military force abroad.
All right. So in the first year of Darius, and the chapter right before this, chapter 10, is at the same time. But I will show thee what's written, which is noted in the scripture of truth, that there is none that holds with me in these things but Michael your prince. And this is in the third year of King Cyrus of Persia. And there's three kings, you know, and one of them's going to be far richer than the other. But I have another thought on that also. So in the first year, because it says also in the first year. So it's continuance of what Daniel is seeing. And in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I, which seems like it's talking about Michael, but Michael your prince. And in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and strengthen him. And now I will show you the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia. And the fourth, now notice how this king is separate. And the fourth shall be far richer than they all. So when you look at Trump, you think, okay, Trump is far richer than all of them, right? And if you look at the underground, Steve there, all right, fine, Steve's richer than all of them. But when you really think about what is the Bible written about all throughout? Well, it's always about Satan against Christ. It's a battle with Michael also, the spirit. So when I look at this, I put multiple things in my head to look for as I'm reading it to see what lines up. So I do know that there's 4 kingdoms also. One of them's made of iron, the other one gold, brass, and silver. But we all know that the 4th kingdom is made of iron. So when you're looking at this, you can see how they can push your brain to think that it's Trump because he's a billionaire, right? You can look at the 3 kings of Persia as Obama being the last one, and Bush, and then who was before him? Ronald Reagan. I forget. The one that never smoked. He didn't inhale. So whatever, you can look at any of them, and then you see Trump as the, you know, the billionaire builder. So you'll just assume him, but the Bible is really written about the battles, the spiritual battles that go on, which is between Christ and Satan. So I put that in my mind also, and then I continue to read until it doesn't line up. Then I'll stop thinking that way. But I'm looking at this as their script, which is Trump. The truth of it to them is underground, King Cyrus the fourth. But my view is this is us. We're the fourth kingdom. So I put all three of those into one as I read, and then I get every time I'm trying to explain to people how I think. Then I think of all that as I'm reading it, and then it filters out. Does that line up with Trump? Yep. Does that line up with Steve? Yeah, it still lines up. Does that line up with us? Yes, it does. So all the way through here, when it starts talking about he and him, and that's where you get confused if you don't pay close attention. So anyway, and now I will show you the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all, and by his strength through his riches. Now, riches in the spirit, you are rich in the spirit. We are far richer than they all of them. And then as you keep reading it, you'll see that, okay, tell me where it says something bad about this 4th that's far richer than they all. If you look at this as money, of course you're going to think it's Donald Trump. You look at it as richer in the spirit, all right, well then your mind's going to go back over to this being us. And by his strength through his riches, well, yeah, he's going to stir up against the realm of Grecia. And the prince of Grecia is Satan. So our riches get stirred up. We stir people up. They get a little upset. And a mighty king shall stand up that shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. Okay, so what king are you talking about here? Is this a good king? Is this a bad king? And he'll do according to his will. Is his will the same as God's will? Or is it his own will? These are questions I ask myself when I read this, and then I go on to the next. I don't just continue to read unless I know what I'm already reading, but when I'm studying it, I'll stop and think and ask myself the questions. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken. Okay, so that pretty much answers it right there. The question I had was good king, bad king. Because it says mighty king shall stand up. And when he shall stand up, well, his kingdom shall be broken. All right, our kingdom will never be broken, so that's not us. And shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up. Yeah, we're not getting plucked up, even for others besides those. And the king of the south, all right, so now I'm putting this as Satan, and I'm putting it as Steve, and I'm putting it as now the script of Venezuela, because it's throwing in the king of the south and the king of the north. So I'll think that way as I'm reading it, and then it helps me understand, does it still line up or no? And the king of the south shall be strong. Now at the same time, when you're looking at, now this might be a stretch, but when you're looking at Putin, the king of the south, if you're looking at Putin as the south and one of his princes, he shall be strong above him. Now again, I don't even really know Venezuela that much, never really paid attention to it, but that one guy seems like he's in charge. Or is he a prince? Or is there someone that's younger than him. I seen a picture of some guy that's younger putting his... Hold on, let me find that. Well, let me finish this out first. Be strong above him and have dominion, and his dominion shall be a great dominion.
But actually fighting Americans face to face is a risk Mr. Putin is unlikely to take. So comparison with Vietnam might be high.
So you see how they're throwing in Venezuela, right, and Putin at the same time. So that's why I started to think that for maybe a second, but that's part of their script.
Hyperbole. So comparison with Vietnam, but actually fighting Americans face to face is a risk Mr. Putin is unlikely to take.
So if he's unlikely to take that, then he can stir up South America against North America. Because Trump said he needs to get the hell up out of there. Okay, now listen to how serious he is.
Russia has to get out. We'll see. All options are open. Just so you understand, all options are open. Just so you understand, all options are open.
Moscow has already responded to Trump's threat by offering the...
See, Moscow has already responded. So Moscow is involved here. And then let me go to this guy, because I don't know where he came from, but he seems younger.
It's natural for them to come to the country and teach.
This guy is horribly, he's just an American citizen and he has this accent. It's terrible.
The Venezuelan military the ropes of how to operate these complex systems like the S-300, for instance, anti-missile defense systems. Now, when it comes to the crisis in Venezuela as a whole, Moscow...
Okay, so who's this guy?
...is maintaining that it has been acting in strict accordance with international law. In fact, it says that its position is one of the...
Right, notice there's something going on here with the A Fonzies, right? I'll show you.
Key factors why Washington hasn't intervened in...
Whoa, wait a minute. All right, so... Look, it's hit or miss, but I remember talking about, just like a day or so ago, about when this major event happens, the next one, I was thinking on the 5th of April, that it'll be 100 exact people that died. Like if ISIS goes and blows up a church or something, it'll be exactly 100, because they're going to give you, they already gave you the 50, which was the number from, you know, the people being shot and killed, 50, and then here goes 100. So, well, all right, fine, there's the 100 there. Getting ready to show you. That way it can make you remember the 150 days.
The key factors why Washington hasn't intervened in Venezuela more than it already has done. Also, it has said that Washington's position already has done. Also, it has done. Also.
What's with the Fonzie's thumbs up?
Already has done.
See, I mean, hey.
Also, it has said that Washington's position on this has basically denied Latin American countries its sovereignty. Have a listen.
The U.S. has once again decided to bring order to Latin America, starting with Venezuela. We regret that the Organization of American States has aided Washington in straightening its colonial habits, as if unaware that any other country in the region can in turn fall under U.S. pressure.
All right, look,
sends a very powerful
who is this guy?
This is a new development in wherein multipolarity is a new game in town. Multipolarity exists whether Washington likes to accept it or not.
Is he just running the riot, or is he somebody important?
And the fact that these military advisors are operating in conjunction with an ally in Latin America, which the U.S.
You know what I mean? I don't know who he is. But anyway, if he's acting like something, then he would be acting as a prince, because a prince is always, seems like it's younger than the king. And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, he shall be strong above him. Now, if you look at Satan as being the king of the south, and one of his princes, you know, Steve, he shall be strong above him and have dominion. Or you can look at it as it's somebody on TV has to play this out and have dominion and shall be a great dominion. And in the end of years, they shall join themselves together. Who's they? Is it the king of the south and one of his princes? It's lining up to be that way. For the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north and make an agreement. Okay, so then, what's his name? Nicholas, what's his face? His daughter, does he have a daughter? Is she going to come to Trump and make an agreement? But then you can also look at this as, well, is that North Korea? I mean, is it South Korea and North Korea? But he shall retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand, nor his arm. You know, like the Statue of Liberty is the arm of like Babylon or something. So, but she shall not retain the power of the arm. Oh, she. Oh, I see. Like the Statue of Liberty. Because the arm's going to fall off. She shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand, nor his arm either. But she shall be given up, and they that brought her, and he that begat her, and he that strengthened her in these times. But out of a branch of her roots shall one stand up in his estate, which shall come in with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against him, and shall prevail. All right, so the truth will be stomped to the ground, and they will succeed and prosper. So I'm still looking at this as being the king of the north, which is up, and the king of the south, which is down, the bottomless pit. And shall also carry captives in Egypt their gods with their princes and with their precious vessels of silver and gold, and he shall continue more years than the king of the north. Yeah, I mean, 8 full years since it started. 7 full years coming up. So the king of the south shall come into his kingdom and shall return into his own land. Sounds like his kingdom is ours, and also into his own land. But his sons, sons of disobedience, shall be stirred up, and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come and overflow and pass through. Who's one? One shall certainly come and overflow and pass through. Then shall he return and be stirred up even to his fortress. And this sounds like Satan. And the king of the south shall be moved with anger. All right, so king of the north isn't moving with anger, but the king of the south is moving with anger. And shall come forth and fight with him. With who? Even with the king of the north. Interesting. So, wow, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. Now, I'm telling you that the king of the south, which is Satan, and the king of the north, which is Christ, are both working together. They both know the script. So the king of the south shall be moved with anger, and shall come forth and fight with him. Is it fighting with him or fighting with him? Like literally in the way you say the two words, it gives you a definition of each one. And even with the king of the north. I've said it. Satan, Lucifer, Christ, the archangels, whatever you want to call it, are all working together in the spiritual realm. And he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hand. Now, we are being given over so they can prosper and succeed for a times and a half a times. And when he has taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up. All right, so that sounds like Satan again. And he shall cast down many 10,000s. But he shall not be strengthened by it. Yeah, it's definitely Satan. For the king of the north shall return. It's like fighting back when Michael stands up. And shall set forth a multitude greater than the former. And shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches. Being rich in the spirit, I mean, it's the two major differences is being rich in the pocket and rich in the spirit. So it's still lining up as I read, thinking that way. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. All right. So a lot of also the robbers of your people shall exalt themselves to establish division, but they shall fall. So right now, there are many people getting involved. All these countries are getting involved, standing up. And of course, there's a vision that the elite were trying to establish, but what they were thinking of, they changed their mind, because the king of the south is fighting with him, even with the king of the north. For the king of the north shall return, set forth much riches, and in those days there shall many stand up against the king of the south. Also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish division, but they shall fall. So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand. This is in the end. Neither shall his chosen people. So now, doesn't your mind immediately go to, when you say chosen, like God's chosen people? And the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people. Neither shall there be any strength to withstand. So their chosen people, anybody can be chosen. You're chosen for whatever reason. But this is the king of the south. And the king of the north. King of the north shall come and cast up a mount and take the most fenced cities. And the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people. So this is referring to the king of the south and his chosen people. Neither shall there be any strength to withstand. But he that comes against him shall do according to his own will. So he that comes against who shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him. All right, well, none are going to be standing before the fourth kingdom with iron teeth that smashes all things. But he that comes against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him. This is the truth. His own will is God. His own will. And he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. Again, God is the one that's making this consumption, making it desolate. He's the one that's going to cause the prayers to cease. He shall also set his face to enter into the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do. It doesn't sound evil at this moment, right? And he shall give him the daughter of women, corrupting her. So who is he and who is him corrupting her? Who is her? but she shall not stand on his side, neither before him. After this, he turn his face unto the isles, and shall take many, but a prince on his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Those prayers are going to cease. Without his own reproach, he shall cause it to turn upon him. Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, and this is the evil sounding, Satan, but he shall stumble and fall, and not be found. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes. Whose estate? A raiser of taxes. You know, taxes, the tariffs, in the glory of the kingdom, but within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor battle. Notice how it's like on the 20th. So after a few days he shall be destroyed. Let me jump over to 12, Daniel 12 real quick. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that makes it desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waits and comes to 1,335th day. But still, go your way till the end be, for you shall rest and stand in your lot at the end of the days. So he shall be destroyed after a few days, which is 3, on the 20th. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom with flatteries. So we know that Trump does this right now, and Steve does it in the underground, and Satan does it in the kingdom. And with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. Sounds like Michael, because we're going to be silenced for a time. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully. Doesn't say who. For he shall come up and shall be strong with a small people. He shall enter peaceably even upon the fattest places of the providence, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey, the spoil, the riches, yea, and shall forecast his devices, like surveillance, strategic movements, on against a stronghold even for a time. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south. Who's he that has this power and this courage? And the king of the south